It's time to get a little nerdy here about Angela. You see, post-buff, as it turns out, Angela is now a beast. Angela, she's always been decent and one of the most beginner-friendly champions in the game, but now, thanks to her updated Awaken ability, she's also a very valuable endgame champion as well. You see, her updated description is, for each buff on Angela, her opponent suffers the following: minus a percentage of nullify and auto block ability accuracy, and then minus a percentage of damaging debuff duration. And it's the damaging debuff duration part that I want to pay attention to in this video, what I want to focus on. You see, in my full Angela video, I said that Sig 182 is the sweet spot, because if you look at the number, it's minus 33.34%. If you multiply that by 3, you are just barely above 100% damaging debuff duration, meaning you're fully immune to things like bleed, poison, incinerate, anything that can deal damage over time. But do we need to be fully immune? And that's a question that I actually do not know the answer to right now. It's something that I'm going to test, and I'm going to upload this video regardless of the testing results. Let me show you how I'm going to be testing this. You see caltrops here? It says dashing backwards against this enemy causes you to bleed for 6 seconds. So it's a 6-second bleed. That's all we need to worry about. 6 seconds of bleed. But debuffs in this game, they tick every half second. So we could essentially look at this and say it's a bleed that will tick 12 times on us. So my thought process is this: what if we can get the duration to be so low that we're technically not 100% debuff immune, but the duration will be so low that it is lower than 1/12 of this total duration, since it's going to tick on us 12 times. Now, 1/12 broken down into a percentage is 8.33%. So we essentially need to be 91.7% debuff duration immune, or whatever you want to say. We need to reduce the duration by 91.7%. And if we take a look at this lovely little website called Aunt May, you can see here I plugged in Sig 154, which will give minus 30.9% damaging debuff duration. So if I have 3 buffs on myself, that will actually be 91.77%, which should be just enough to not take any bleed damage from something like caltrops, if this all works at least. So in order to test this, now I need an Angela at Sig 154, and I'm on the content creator beta, and luckily I happen to have an unawakened 6-star Angela that we can test this out with. So I'm going to awaken her, and then I'm going to take her all the way up to Sig 154. By the way, in case you're curious, I do have maxed out willpower, but I do not have any points in the other bleed-based masteries. So this should just be Angela on her own, and I am really curious to see if we are going to get any kind of willpower healing. So this will be interesting. This is quest 5.2.4, Lines in the Sand, everyone's favorite quest with masochism in it. I'll be making a full guide on it soon if you're having trouble with the quest. But for now, just a quick little test with Angela here against this Venom with caltrops. And like I said, got my 6-star Angela up to Sig 154 for the test. And let's just see how it goes. I'm going to try not to get a 4th buff on myself, because of course a 4th buff would kind of defeat the purpose here. So I'm going to need to get to 3. I'm going to get to, you know what, the dexterity buff on myself, actually. That'll be good. Okay, so let's see. No, it looks like I am still taking bleed damage. See, now that I have a heal on myself, I'm not taking that bleed damage. Let me get that heal off myself so we can get a closer look. Yeah, see, I'm still taking that bleed damage. Okay, alright, so it was not enough, but that's okay. I want to test a higher Sig level now. We'll take Angela up to Sig 160, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, now that Angela is Sig 160, it is minus 31.19% per buff. So if I have 3 buffs on myself, it'll reduce the total duration by 93.57%. This should be enough. Even if Kabam, they round things a little bit, maybe that's why Sig 154 didn't exactly work. Let's try this again, and we'll just see if Sig 160 is enough, or maybe you do actually need to be at that 182 level. Let's see. Once again, just to show, sig 160. And let's go ahead and try this real quick. So I want to get a second armor up and then the dexterity just from dex in this guy. Okay, there's the second armor up. Now I need dex. Okay, now I have dex on myself. Let's see. I don't see any more bleed. I think we did it. Oh, no. I have a heal on myself. Oh, crap. I need to wait out the duration of the heal. Come on, Angela, stop healing. I was so pumped for a second that it actually worked. Okay. No, I have 3 buffs on myself, though, and I am taking bleed damage, unfortunately. Dang. So, that did not work. I'm going to try one more threshold. Post-production BG here. I didn't notice it until I do the next test that I'm going to show you, but I was actually taking less bleed damage. So, in the first test, it was 208, and in this test, it was 167. So I guess you can't fully get rid of that tick of bleed. You will need to be at that sig 182 threshold, but you still can reduce that damage. So the higher the sig level up to 182 is still important. You'll see that even more in this next test. Check it out. I'm going to take Angela all the way to sig 180, which will bump the total damaging debuff duration to 99.45%. I mean, at this point, it's so close to 182. It'll be funny if it still doesn't work, but hey, if it works, it'll at least let people save those 2 sig stones. So, hey, sig stones, since they're so hard to come by, 2 sig stones could be a lot. It'll make it so that if you do naturally awaken Angela again and get her to sig 200, it'll feel like you haven't wasted any resources at least. So let's try this one last time. Sig 180. And this is still the same venom with caltrops. And I need to get 3 buffs on myself. So let's get an armor up. Now let's get a dexterity. Okay, I have dex on myself now. And looks like I was still taking some bleed. That was weird though, man. I have too many buffs on myself. I need to let some of these buffs drop off real quick. Let's see if we can do that. All right, now I have 3 on myself again. I'm taking 15 damage, 16 damage. That's so bizarre. So it's not a full tick of bleed, because the ticks of bleed before were much more powerful. So I guess it doesn't fully get rid of that bleed. It just reduces the damage if you're below like a certain threshold. That's okay. Interesting. Well, I never knew that about the game, so at least these tests, you know, they did show that. Just real quick, just to make sure nothing funky's going on, I am gonna throw the sig 182 Angela in here, just to make sure that everything is working properly and that I'm not gonna take any damage while having 3 buffs on myself. So got 2. Let's get dexterity going. There's dexterity. Now I have the heal on myself, so I gotta let one of those drop off real quick. But then I should not be taking any bleed. Okay, yep, 0 bleed, no damage whatsoever. Okay. Post-production BG here once again to slow a clip down and show that you can still heal with willpower. This is nuts. So you can see the bleed messages popping up on the left side, but I'm not taking any bleed damage. This is the sig 182 5-star Angela with 3 buffs on myself. And normally I just have the +2 healing from salve, but you'll see that number +113 show up. You know, I guess you have to have enough debuffs kind of register for that to happen. But the fact that you still get that little bit of willpower healing, that's pretty cool, man. All right, so definitively sig 182, that is definitely the sweet spot for Angela. But if you cannot get her to sig 182, it's not like she's useless at a lower sig. You're just going to need to get more buffs on yourself to be fully debuff immune. And if you can't become fully debuff immune, well, just reducing the debuff duration in itself is pretty powerful and might be enough depending on the situation you find yourself in. But yeah, you are going to want to get her to sig 182 in an ideal situation. All right, I thought this was going to work out. I'm going to upload the video anyway. This way no one else has to do the testing. But that'll do it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.